Well, hi, sixth graders. Tonight, I'm going to take you on a whirlwind adventure of properties. Okay, so we're going to talk about math properties tonight. Now, math properties are one of those weird things in math that it's kind of like rules. Okay, it's kind of like rules in the fact that it's why these equations make sense that you're going to get ready to learn about. Okay, and we do have to know them. There's going to be 5 properties I teach you tonight. It should be short and sweet. Should get through it pretty quickly. Now, it's going to look a little bit different because I am typing on my computer, okay? I'm going through here and just kind of showing you on the computer instead of the smartboard. That way you can actually read my handwriting. I've got to write really small for this, so I figured I'd go ahead and type it because, well, you know how my handwriting is, so it's all right. If you will, get out your guided notes. They should be attached to your video, okay? The same tab the video come on. And we will get started, okay? At any point in time, I'm not going to lie to you. With these slides, I've kind of already typed them out because this may or may not be video take 13 because I keep messing things up. I keep forgetting to hit the record button. I keep forgetting to press the microphone to unmute myself. But, you know, it's cool because take 13 is going to be lucky. All right? So let's go for this, okay? So at any point in time, if you need to pause this video, go right ahead and write these down, okay? So the first thing I need you to fill in is commutative. That's going to be our first property. Now, I can't say commutative because, hey, I can't talk half the time, but it's all right, commutative. The notes for commutative. We've got 2 different types of commutative property, okay? We're going to kind of combine it into one, but commutative property for addition and commutative property for multiplication. Guess what? Addition involves adding, multiplication involves multiplication. Bet you didn't know that. Anyhow, so commutative property for addition. What I have with this is the numbers move, but the answer does not change. So make sure you have all this typed in over here. The numbers move, but the answer does not change. So let's look what I'm talking about here. A plus B equals B plus A. A plus B equals B plus A. So if I bring numbers into that, 1 plus 2 equals 2 plus 1. Both the sides equal 3. And with an equation, both sides are balanced, okay? They've got to equal the same thing on both sides. So with both sides being balanced, both sides equal 3 for that example. All right? Now let's look at multiplication. A times B equals B times A. All right? As you can see right here. Using numbers, 2 times 4 equals 4 times 2. Both sides, the answer you're going to get is 8. Okay? So let's use a code word for this. I've got a code word over here. The code word I'm going to use is CO because commutative order. That's what you need to think. Commutative order. In commutative property, order changes. That's it. Okay? So 9 plus 3 becomes 3 plus 9. That's commutative property of addition. And commutative property of multiplication, 6 times 2 becomes 2 times 6. Okay? So there's that. Now, I'm going to come back to commutative property in a second because the one that most people confuse with commutative property is associative. So associative property, once again, we have associative property for addition and associative property for multiplication. Now, if you will, go ahead and type those in. But with this, your definition, the numbers do not move, but the parentheses do. Okay? The numbers do not move, but the parentheses do. Okay? So you'll look A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. There you go. All your numbers, letters, whatever we're using right now, they stay in order. Okay? They stay in order. Now, the parentheses change. The grouping changes, okay? And that's the code word I got over here. We'll go ahead and talk about that. AG, associative grouping changes. Grouping changes. So AG, associative, think grouping. AG, science fact, that's actually the chemical symbol for, or chemical, I'm done, I can't. The chemical symbol for silver. Yeah, there's your science fact for the day. Miss Snavely or Mr. Callahan would be proud. Anyhow, associative grouping, okay? So if I look at this example, 5 plus 4, in parentheses, plus 2, equals the same thing as 5 plus, or 7 plus 2 inside of parentheses, okay? So you've got to have the same signs, addition, but the grouping is the same. 5 and 7 is grouped together on the left, 7 and 2 is grouped together on the right. No matter which way you do this, both answers or both sides are going to equal the same answer. Same thing down here. I've got 3 times 8 times 4, and I've got 3 times 8 times 4. Okay? 3, 8, 4, 3, 8, 4. Parentheses around 3 and 8, parentheses around 8 and 4. Your grouping changes. So let's look back at commutative. Order changes here, so it's just in opposite order. The order doesn't change here, it's just grouping, and that's associative. Okay? Perfect. Now here, I've got 2 different properties for you. I've got identity property, and then I've got zero property. Now, we kind of group these together because they are confusing, but they kind of do the same thing, okay? They kind of do the same thing. So what I have with this is I have identity property for addition, and then identity property for multiplication. The number does not change. And here's what that means. A plus 0 is going to equal A. A times 1 is going to equal A. Okay? If you have 12 plus 0, guess what? You've still got 12. If you have 12 times 1, guess what? You've still got 12. Okay? Now, here's where this gets confusing. With identity property has a 0 when there's a plus sign. It has a 1 when there's a multiplication sign. So identity property of addition, you're going to be adding 0. Identity property of multiplication, you're going to be multiplying by 1. Okay? So before we do these examples over here, let's look at zero property. All right? Now, zero property is a little bit different because it's any number times 0 equals 0. Look what's different with this. Identity property of multiplication, I'm timesing by 1. I don't know why I'm pointing to the screen like you can see that, but anything times 1 equals 1. With a zero property, any number times 0 equals 0. Okay, so identity 1, 0, 0. All right, let's do some examples. 4 plus 0, identity property tells me that 4 plus 0 is going to be 4. 0 plus 9, identity property tells me that 0 plus 9 is going to be 9. And both of those are identity property of addition. Identity property of multiplication is down here. 6 times 1. 6 times 1 is going to equal 6. Okay, it's going to equal 6. And then 6 times 0, well, that's going to be zero property because I'm using multiplication and I'm using a 0. So 6 times 0 is 0. 245 times 0 is 0. Boom, identity and zero property. Okay, those two are different from commutative and associative, but they're kind of their two little own different things in themselves. Last one I have is the distributive property. Now, distributive property, we are actually going to learn a lot more about on Monday. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go over the basics of it here, and you're going to kind of get more of an in-depth lesson and actually have to calculate it more on Monday. Today, you just got to recognize it. Okay, so with distributive property, what that looks like is going to be rainbows are shooting stars. Yeah, real manly, I know, but it's going to look like rainbows are shooting stars. Okay, and you're going to distribute the number outside of the parentheses to the number inside the parentheses. Okay, you're going to distribute the number outside the parentheses to the number inside the parentheses. Okay, so I have A, and inside the parentheses, I have B plus C. That does need to be an addition sign, okay? But B plus C. So I'm going to distribute A to B. The problem is in life, I've got to be fair, okay? A times B, as you touch and multiply, don't forget that. The two variables are touching, so you're going to multiply them together. But I've got to be fair. So if I distribute it to B, I've got to distribute it to C as well. I can't just distribute it to 1, all right? You have to be fair. So A times B and A times C. And what I mean by looking like rainbows or shooting stars or unicorns or whatever we're talking about, A distributes to B. A distributes to C, okay? So A to B, A to C. You get AB, you get AC. So with these two numbers over here, what I want you to do, or what I'm kind of trying to show you here, is just how this works, okay? And I'm actually going to work these out for you to show you how they work. So I don't have an equal sign here because I wanted to kind of work them out in the PEMDAS way because I thought that would make more sense to you. So just bear with me. This is like having an equal sign right here, okay? Anything I'm typing down here. So if I distribute this, I'm going to distribute the 3 to the 4, okay? So what I have is going to be, whoops, that's a 0, didn't mean to do that. Inside the parentheses over here, I've got 3 times 4. Okay, I'm gonna put my addition sign, and then the parentheses over here. I am just using parentheses to help us. You don't have to use parentheses. Like I said, I'm just using it to kind of show us what's happening. I have to be fair, and I've got to distribute to the 2. If you don't give the 2 the 3 as well, the 2 gets mad, and it's just a bad story. Yeah, we don't want to go there. We don't want to hurt any feelings. So you have to distribute to the 2 as well. So you've got 3 times 4 and 3 times 2. Now, sometimes you're going to be asked to work these out. So let's work it out. 3 times 4. PEMDAS. There it is. Left to right, 3 times 4 is going to be 12. Put my addition sign in. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. Okay? 12 plus 6. 12 plus 6, you're going to have your answer of 18 when you add and subtract from left to right. Okay? So you try to distribute that 7, and you try to answer that, okay? Try to distribute the 7, try to answer that one, and then we'll go over it, all right? So here we go. What I have is 7 times 4. I'm not using parentheses this time, just so you can see what it looks like without it. And then to the left, I can't leave poor 2 out there by himself. I got to distribute 7 to him too, okay? So 7 times 4, 7 times 2. 7 times 4 plus 7 times 2. 7 times 4, the good old 7 times 4 is going to be 28. And then 7 times 2 is going to be 14. I combine those two together by adding. 28 plus 14 is going to give me 42. 42. Okay? So I have commutative property, numbers move, but answer does not change. CO, commutative order. Associative, AG, associative grouping. The numbers do not move, but the parentheses do. Identity and zero property. For addition, A plus 0 is A. Multiplication, A times 1 is A. Okay? So identity property of addition plus 0. Identity property of multiplication times 1. The number does not change. Same thing with 0 down here. Any number times 0 is 0. Okay? And that's zero property. Lastly, distribute. You're going to distribute what's outside the parentheses to what's inside the parentheses, okay? So on your homework tonight, what you are going to have to do, you're going to have to look at these numbers, and you're going to have to tell me which property is being used, okay? You're going to have to tell me which property is being used. So first thing I would do is look for distributive, because it's kind of the easiest one to see. You see kind of parentheses on one side and no parentheses on the other side, all right? Then kind of look and see if you can tell if the order changes or not. Or look and see if there's a 1 or 0. Things of that nature, okay? So, believe it or not, looks like the 13th time was a charm, and I actually made this video. Guys, this lesson is kind of hard to teach. If you feel a little lost, you can message your teacher about it. Remember, we will go over this Monday as well, okay? We're going to talk about this Monday. This is a difficult concept just because there's a lot of stuff. Okay, there's a lot of stuff to remember. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and sign off here. I appreciate your all's attention, and I will talk at you some other time. Good luck, okay, and enjoy your weekend.